Hi everyone, I'm Mike and this is the Sunday Art Show. So today I thought we'd do a quick painting of a Red Angus Bull. You may remember from a couple of weeks ago I did a Black Angus Bull, and so I thought having a quick go at the red one might be quite good fun. So I'm starting out with an inch wide flat brush. Got a mix of permanent alizarin and some phthalo blue to make this purple that I'm putting down. And as I often do, just putting down some loose line work to begin to outline this rather muscular animal. And again, as we often do, I'll come back and correct things in just a moment. As and where necessary. So hopefully some of it will be reasonably correct. But we'll see how things work out. So I made the bull a little bit bigger than intended on the page, but I don't actually mind the composition we've got here too much. So we'll press on for the moment. Now that I've got the line work complete, I've added a little bit more of the alizarin to my purple. And I'm going to use that rather than go back round and rework the lines like I normally do. I thought, well, I kind of block in and adjust the shape, adjust the outline of the animal at the same time. And we'll see if that works out more efficiently than it does, to do a second set of lines. We'll find out as we go. Now I'm just going to spray the surface of the painting with water to get things to flow a little more readily. Go back over this area as well. That's more the effect I was after. And by putting the paint on in a fluid way, we naturally create, or automatically create, contours and brush marks and a nice subtle variation in tones as we work our way around. So I'm still using the same brush that I did the outline work with. And that's working quite well because it's big enough to cover key areas fairly quickly, but it's small enough that I've still got a reasonable amount of control. So I'd forgotten to put the other leg in, so let's do that. I'm coming back in now with a little bit more of the phthalo blue in my purple mixture. I was starting to run out of the previous colour on my palette. I thought, well, I may as well put in some shadows at this stage as I go. And we'll come back and fill in those white areas in just a moment. So there's our bull more or less blocked in. And what I'm going to do is use some of the cadmium yellow deep, like I did last time, to fill in the background. And just like I did for the previous bull painting, I can use this colour to make little adjustments to the outline of the animal, you know, if I feel it needs it. So I'm going to do this all the way around, and I'll check back in once I've completed the background. So there's our background filled in, and I've taken that same yellow, mixed with a little bit of the alizarin to create a lovely orange, and I'm going to use that for some of the highlights, because although these animals are called Red Angus, you actually get quite a range of colours in their hide, purples and browns and oranges, you know, where the light is catching. You can see I'm using quite a large flat brush for this, and I did just moisten the surface of the paper with the water spray bottle, and just for the most part very lightly dragging the brush over the surface of the painting. So I'll continue this treatment across the entirety of the bowl, and then what we'll do is go back in, do a little bit of refinement on the drawing, add in some more precise shadows, where required. But before I get to that, I'll probably add in some of the brightest highlights. Introducing a little bit of titanium white to our mixture is a good way to go to, create a colour which is going to be suitable for the brighter highlights. You can see I'm still keeping, for the most part, the shapes fairly simple. Now I've added a lot of phthalo blue to one of the purples I had mixed up, and I'm going to use that to, as I said earlier, I'm going to refine my drawing a little bit, and we'll also add some of the deeper shadows as well. Gone back to the original brush, the one I started with at the beginning of the painting. Now those shadows are coming up perhaps a little bit too blue, so I've added a touch of the alizarin to the mixture. And my hope is that by adding these darker shadows in, we'll be able to make some of the other colours really sing and come to life. We'll see how that goes. So just by adjusting the pressure that we apply the brush to the board, you know, we can get a whole different range of marks with the same colour. You know, so I'm obviously putting things on rather more heavily down here. Excuse me a moment. All right, we're back, and I'm going to continue with these shadows. So I may be repeating myself. I can't remember quite where I left off, but I think I was saying that by putting the paint down and pushing down a bit more heavily down here, we can create darker shadows, and with a lighter touch elsewhere, we can obviously get a lighter tone if that's what we need. You know, without changing the colour or the brush. So that's quite useful. Now, the line of the back here isn't quite right, but it'll do. I think it's close enough now. I didn't mean to put that line in, but that sort of worked okay. So I might add a little bit more of that here actually, and with a deliberate gap in the line, I'll put another little burst of that colour there. Now let's switch to a slightly smaller brush, and we'll use that to refine some of the lines we've got here. So there isn't really a hard line on the right of the nose, but I'm going to just pop one in, at least for now. Yes, that's working reasonably well. And I've got a pale pink on my brush at the moment, so we're going to use that to introduce a lighter colour on the nose here. And that same colour we can use for some of the lighter regions around the eye, if we apply it fairly delicately. Back to a bit more of an orange now, because the right hand eye is in shadow, so although things do lighten up a little bit there, it's not as pronounced as for the left hand eye. And I'll keep that colour going onto the ears. I've zoomed in a little bit for you there, and I've gone to a small round brush and a mixture of the phthalo blue and burnt umber. And I'm going to use this just for the very deepest shadows, just a few little licks here and there. So let's pop a little bit in on the nostrils, and then also on the darkest parts of the eye as well. And then we can put a little highlight in the eye in just a moment. So this is simply the phthalo blue with a little touch of white. And we'll use that same colour for a much smaller highlight on the other eye. I've added some more titanium white now because I just want to pick out some bluish highlights on top of the nose. Not too much, but just a little touch. And on the lower jaw as well. And now we need to sort out this left hand eye. Coming in with an orange now. So the colours I've got there are around the eye are a little bit too light at the moment, so I don't want to lose them completely, but they do need a little bit of adjustment. So things are coming together reasonably well now, but I do just want to darken with rather broad strokes certain parts of the head, just fairly gently. And the reason for this is I've just kind of lost some of the contrast and some of the modelling, or really just the deep shadow under the neck. Really, I think that's all that's lacking. And I feel the need to put in just a little line here. To define the lower jaw a bit more clearly. And I think I'm going to let that one dry now, and we'll see what it looks like when it's done, when it's completely dry. So here's the finished painting, and it's actually a few days later now, so I let the painting dry and then I put it away for a few days. And the reason was I was kind of debating whether to put a little bit of grass in the lower part of the picture, but I decided not to. I quite like the boldness and the sketchiness of the cadmium yellow deep background. Anyway, so that's this painting of a Red Angus Bull finished. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. Any questions at all, I'm always happy to answer those if you want to ask me a question. But in the meantime, I hope to see you next Sunday for the next episode of the Sunday Art Show. Thanks very much for watching.